This video is all about the Florida housing market's extreme price volatility. And housing market data is typically lagging. And if you had to wait for the Florida Realtor Association or the MLS to publish last month's data, it would be totally irrelevant because the information would be over a month old. But since I'm not interested in taking you through an academic exercise with zero economic value, I'm going to share what's happening in the markets right now, as of today, so that you've got actionable information and can make the best decisions for yourself, for your family, and for your financial bottom line. As a boots on the ground operator of a high performance real estate team, I am hyper focused on the markets that exist within my market. And while I can certainly give you a macro picture as to what's happening in Boca Raton, Delray Beach, and Boynton Beach, I'm going to get hyper granular into very specific markets. And I'm going to do a deep dive into my stomping ground, into the markets that I serve and support on a daily basis. Because truthfully, it happens to be where most of my buyers are shopping. So today we're going to do a deep dive into the communities located in West Boynton Beach, primarily the canyons. And then from there, we're going to cover West Delray Beach, which is primarily comprised of the Bridges communities. And then we're going to do a deep dive of the West Boca Raton communities of Boca Bridges and Lotus. And then finally, we will stop in West Boca Raton. And we're going to cover the hyperlocal market in which Lotus Palm is located. And let's face it, we're talking about three different cities. We're talking about Boca, Delray, and Boynton Beach. And while all three of those cities have very different markets from a macro picture, the hyperlocal markets that I'm about to do a deep dive in are very similar. They are all comprised of GL Homes communities, and all of them feature new or newer products with resort style amenities and a country club lifestyle without the country club fees. And I noticed the comment yesterday from someone who asked about Lotus Palm and whether buying in Lotus Palm is a good idea or not. And while I can certainly give my opinion, the truth is the only one who knows whether buying something is right for you is you. But it will be very interesting to see how that market is trading as of right now. But before we do, I think it's critical that we do discuss some current events that are happening right now that don't exactly give me the warm and fuzzies as it relates to our markets. And having been a stockbroker for 18 years, when I see some of the leading indicators and breaking news that's happening right now, I feel a fiduciary responsibility to talk about these actionable events. And I'm 100% certain there is extreme volatility in pricing that exists in the markets that we're about to cover. I also know and can't ignore that U.S. car loans total are north of $1.5 trillion. And consumer credit card debt is also north of $1 trillion. And while I suspect many of the homeowners that are in the markets that I'm about to discuss are quite affluent and feel quite insulated from many of the economic risks that exist, I also know when the economic tide turns, many folks will be exposed. And the only thing I want to expose you to is the truth. But, fun fact, Argentina just devalued its currency by 18%, and they raised their benchmark interest rate by 21 points to 118%. And I am also aware that comparing the United States to Argentina is not exactly an apples to apples comparison. It's 100% an active real-time case study into what hyperinflation can and will do to a currency over time. But because I have the utmost respect for your time, let's get into what the numbers are right now in the Canyons Enclave, in the zip code of 33473. And to be clear, I know there are some other communities that are located within the zip code. But the biggest chunk of housing data in this zip code is comprised of canyon trails, canyon aisles, canyon lakes, and canyon springs. And it also happens to be the market in which I live. So you can bet your sweet bippy that I'm paying attention to what goes on in real time because I must know. But I'm really only most interested in what's happening right now. The backward looking information is not relevant to anything that I intend to do moving forward. But if you look at the bottom left corner of the screen, you can't help but notice the average sold price in the current versus previous month to date. We're comparing August to July. And the pricing that we're comparing, the volatility that we're discussing, is August versus July of 2023. But single family homes in the zip code of 33473 are experiencing extreme volatility because the average active list price on the market right now is down 2.2% from $1,083,000 to $1,059,000. But what a seller wants and what a buyer pays are typically two very different things. So I'm far less interested in what the average active price is and far more concerned about what the average sold price is. Because the average sold price is on the downtick in August by damn near 9%, from $945,000 to $864,000. Which is really just a long way of saying if you bought a home in this zip code last month, it's very likely it's worth 9% less this month. And I don't suspect anybody who bought last month is interested in selling this month. And while I know that most homeowners in most markets within the state of Florida are sitting on a metric shit ton of equity, equity isn't real until it's realized. And if you think your home equity is going to bail you out or save you in the unfortunate event of some financial crisis, please understand that your home equity can drop instantly if someone else in your community sells at a fire sale price. And I know everyone thinks it can't happen to them, but trust me, it can, because your home's value is set on the fringe minority of pricing. And truthfully, we haven't experienced anything like that in our markets so far. But I don't suspect anyone who lives in the Canyons community is exactly thrilled with a 9% downtick in their home's value compared to last month, which takes us to the next community located in West Delray Beach. And I'm talking about single family homes in the zip code of 33446, which is primarily dominated by the Bridges and Seven Bridges communities, which are both GL Homes communities and both feature country club lifestyles without the country club fees. But if we look at the housing market in this zip code, the volatility is extreme, especially when compared to what's happening in the Boynton Canyons. Because while the Canyons housing market is down by 9% in August, the average sold price in the West Delray Beach housing market of 33446, the average sold price is on the uptick by damn near 43%, from $967,000 in July to $1.38 million in August. And while the active average list price is down almost 4%, down from a high of $2,029,000 to $1.952, which clearly demonstrates to me that sellers have a higher opinion of price than buyers are willing to pay, the short supply of homes is making the already bubbly market a hell of a lot more pricey, to the tune of about 43% month over month. If only there was a real estate professional who was able to predict that the bubbly market would get a hell of a lot more bubbly. Wait a second, that's me, because I've been predicting this for months due to the short supply of new listings and the tremendous demand from out-of-state buyers. And most folks who are buying in these markets are not rate hike sensitive. And I'm sure this is going to offend half the people that are listening, but the truth is, those buyers want what they want when they want it, and they're willing to pay a premium in order to live the lifestyle that they want. Which takes us to West Boca Raton. And before I do a deep dive into the Lotus Palm market, which is a brand new development, brand new construction, very similar to the other communities because it's built by GL Homes. And while I'm dying to tell you what's going on in that market, I would be completely irresponsible if I did not cover what's happening in the last communities that GL Homes completed. So we're going to do a deep dive into the zip code of 33496, which is comprised of the Boca Bridges community and Lotus. And while the volatility in pricing is not as extreme in this market as it relates to the current versus previous month to date, the current versus the same month a year ago has extreme volatility. But so far in August, the average active list price is down 3.3%. From 2963 to 2865. And once again, the gap between what a seller wants and what a buyer is willing to pay is pretty extreme because the average sold price is only up 0.3% from 1.738 to 1.744. But if we go back in time and look at the current versus the same month 1 year ago, the average sold price is down by 23% from 2.256 million to 1.744, which likely means if you purchased a home last year around this time, chances are you're down 22% on your purchase price. And while there are many homeowners that are sitting on a metric shit ton of home equity and feel wealthy and protected, I suspect anybody who bought a home last year and is down 23% does not feel that way. And if you bought a home last year and your real estate professional did not tell you that the market can go down and sold you on the dream that real estate values only trade higher, I pray to God if you ever have to transact business again, you don't use that same person and you will please call me immediately because I will tell you the truth. And if you must sell, I will find the one buyer on planet Earth willing to pay more than anybody else. Which finally takes us to the market within the market of Boca Raton in which Lotus Palm is located. And the volatility in pricing that exists within this zip code is extreme. And to be hyper granular, I'm talking about the zip code of 33434. And of course, we are only talking about single family home sales. But if we look at the current versus previous month to date, I hope you're sitting down because I don't want you to fall down when you see that the average sold price is up damn near 214% month over month, because the average sold price in this market went from 585 to 1.835 million. And unlike the other markets where the sellers were not getting anything close to what they listed for, these sellers are. And the average active price in this market is up 20.4% from 1.426 to 1.717. Which is a massive jump from the average sold price in July during the same period of $585,000 to 1.835 million, a whopping 214% gain month over month. And if you think that price jump is big, wait until Lotus Palm starts selling. Because the demand for new homes in Lotus Palm is off the charts because there is no more land to develop. And between the scarcity of land and the scarcity of new listings and the tremendous demand that still exists right now, I would be shocked if we do not see tremendous appreciation in this hyper-local market up until we don't. And while there is a tremendous amount of uncertainty as to what will happen in the housing markets, Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, the chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, who is legendary for investing in undervalued situations which deserve a premium. It's interesting that he is deploying his money into home builders right now. And each and every market is going to trade differently. So what's happening in my market is unlikely to be happening in yours. But due to the fact that very few homeowners are willing to trade out of their 2, 3, 4% mortgages and into an 8, 9, 10, 20% mortgage, there is a short supply of new listings. And home builders in my market and surrounding markets are exploding because they've created all the new inventory. And in many instances, they can provide better incentives. They can provide better financing terms up until they can't. I hope you found this content valuable. And if you did, please subscribe to the channel. There are 22 metros within the state of Florida, and I am committed to sharing the truth about exactly what's happening in each and every Florida housing metro so that you've got the best information to make the best decisions for yourself, for your family, and for your financial bottom line. And if you are thinking about buying or selling, please reach out because we would love to help. And that help extends throughout the state of Florida. And we are happy to refer you to someone that we know, like, and trust, someone that can advocate and negotiate for you the right way, irrespective of market conditions. Because ain't nobody overpaying on my watch, and ain't nobody not finding the one buyer on planet Earth willing to pay more than anybody else if they are selling their home. So be sure to turn on the notification bell. This way you never miss any of my breaking news. Please follow me on Twitter where I can never be censored. Check me out on Patreon where I go off, and check out my next video because I suspect you will love it a lot. And until next time, peace.